Hello, 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 gardeners, plant nerds, bird nerds. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. It does seem like uh, the technical issues have sorted themselves out. I did see that I am actually live on YouTube, which is exactly what I've been trying to sort out for about 2 weeks, which is why we're doing a repeat today of growing boronias. What I would appreciate though, um, I'm just going to chinwag just a little bit um, while I'm kind of waiting. I can see we've got some Facebook and some Twitch uh, in the house. Um, Let us know, how excited are you? If you're from Australia, how excited are you that there is going to be an election, April the 3rd? Um, Oh, fantastic. So I've got, that's good. So I've got two bots in the chat. Well, that's very nice. So that's great. So what I would love to know is how do you feel about that, and what do you think can be achieved for gardeners in and gardeners, nature lovers in general? What do you think can be achieved during this election campaign? Can we get some commitments uh, for something worthwhile? Let me say hello, YouTube. Nice of you to pop in. Uh, we're talking boronias again. This will be try number 3, and obviously because someone's here from YouTube, it must be working. So I did check earlier, and we were live. So I'm happy about that. But please help me out. These shows only work well if people are popping some info in the comments. What I would love to know is, where are you, um, and how do you feel about the upcoming election? I guess that's a, a relevant question for not only Australia but for Canada as well, as they are into their election campaign as well. The reason I'm talking elections on the gardening show is we're talking about boronias today, and I have prepared a lovely slideshow for you. So it should work out a little bit better uh, than the first time we tried this out. But what I would like to know is, what do you think can be achieved in this election campaign? And if you're in Canada, tell us what you think can be achieved in the uh, for gardeners, for nature lovers, in the coming election. And of course, gardening questions. That's what we're here for. Saturday morning. That's what we're here for. Oh, g'day, Glenn. I was going to ask if anyone could comment on the weather. Very wet Australian Botanic Gardens today. Certainly going to be interesting to see how the election campaigning goes. Glenn, is it humid uh, up there in Western Sydney? Down here, it's only a little bit wet. We're not getting a lot of rain, but it's humid. Like it's Brisbane humid. Uh, I'm feeling today. Um, and Glenn, let's expand out on that campaigning idea before I get into my lovely slideshow. Oh, which you can't even see yet. Let me get up on. Let me get that up on there. Yeah. Um, what What do you think might actually be achieved in in this election campaign, Glenn? Um, I, Again, I'm bringing bits in from outside and into the gardening show. Um, starting this afternoon, I'm going to be doing a daily sort of election commentary on Not Just Another Podcast, notjustanotherpodcast.com. And that will be with the focus clearly on the environment, policy for the environment. And I've got a funny feeling I'm not going to have a lot of material to talk about. Reached out to a bunch of candidates, and I'll keep doing that. And we'll see if anybody wants to come on and talk environment. We will just wait and see. Have you got the humidity going on up there, Glenn? That's what I'm really interested to know. All right, boronias. Let's start. Let's start with some boronias. On the screen there, on my growing boronias slideshow, that's Boronia heterophylla. Now, it's a West Australian species, but that's a bright or deep pink. Next, there are white boronias. Now, boronias all have 4 petals, and they all have volatile oils contained within their foliage and in their stems. Many boronias are quite aromatic when they are moving or when you brush against them. But the main reason that we grow them in gardens is for their flowers. But many of the boronias have really attractive foliage as well. But the main users of boronias from a environmental point of view in a garden are insects. Welcome aboard too, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Twitch, and the YouTubers again. I'm so glad that obviously the YouTube going live has worked today. That was very frustrating last week, and I'm sorry if you had set some time aside to join us, but there was not much point in doing the show and not having it go to YouTube. Anyway, we're here now. Question I posed for Glenn has already said hello, as always. Couple of questions today. Are you excited about the election, Australian federal election? If you're in Canada, are you excited about your Canadian election? And the main thing I want to know is, have you tried to grow boronias and have you had a bad experience with boronias? And if so, tell me about it. Let's see if we can solve your problem. Okay, next up. Boronias, as a rule, and boronias are thought of as being only an Australian plant, but there are boronias growing in the South Pacific. Stan says, "Hey, Riot Squad, one of our aged care centres is called Boronia, so I guess we have them natively." Yeah, it's a pretty common name that's used in. Well, of course, we have a suburb here in Melbourne called Boronia. I shared this the first time I tried to do the Boronia show. Boronia got its name because that patch of land was a flower farm, and they were growing boronias there. So that, as that land was developed later, that area had been called the Boronia area. So normal, let's call it Boronia. So that was good. Okay, these are the rules. Some of the rules for growing boronias, but remember, there are exceptions to every rule. And boy, you guys, when I was researching this, I found so much contradictory advice. So I have included my experiences growing Boronia in this list. Uh, Now there are East Coast Boronias and there are West Coast Boronias. The ones that were most popular in cultivation sort of in the 70s and 80s when Boronias really became popular were pretty much the West Australians. Um, but I think some of the East Coast Boronias are really exceptional as well. And Boronia cerulata, or the rose Boronia, which is native to the Sydney area, occurs naturally in the Sydney region, is a fantastic little garden plant. And it is a little garden plant. Anyway, plant in filtered or dappled shade. So full sun is not a good idea for Boronias. And here we go. Stan throwing in Boronia edwardsii, commonly known as island Boronia, common on KI, rare on mainland. Stan, not one I have ever laid my eyes on. So let's see if it's even in my cultivated plant book. Let me just have a look. Because I'm going to guess that it's not edwardsii, you say. Okay. Boronia. No, doesn't appear in my book. So is it a pink flower, a white flower, or one of the common sort of brownie flower ones? Give us some more info on that. I'd like to know. Okay. Plant in filtered or dappled shade. Boronias are an understory plant, generally. So they require some overhead protection. Full sun, especially hot afternoon sun, will kill your Boronia rapidly, burn off very quickly. They do not like to be overwatered, but should never be allowed to dry out. And that is why mulching is really important. Some of the Boronias, and this is especially the West Coast Boronias, can be quite dense little bushes, but if there is humidity around that dense little shrub, that can cause shedding of foliage. And then you end up with this sort of ugly bunch of sticks. It's not dead, but it doesn't look healthy. So there we go. What do we got next? Okay. Boronias can be white, they can be pink, they can be red, they can be green, they can be yellow. Boronia perdiana, subspecies perdiana. Just there to give you an idea of some of the variety. And see that divided leaf? It's a ripper, I reckon. It's a cute. Well, all of these Boronias are only sort of knee high to hip high. So here we go. Glenn, solid rain here today, testing out the weather sealing of the camera and myself for that matter. Oh, well, yeah, you're expecting a lot of rain, I think, over the weekend. I couldn't type on the phone in the rain, so I had to come back to the car to reply. The rain was typing for me. Oh, well, I sometimes have a lorikeet typing for me. You can have the rain typing for you. Stan says pinkish white with distinct four-petal flowers. Yes, all of the Boronias are four-petal. Ripper. Okay. I just wanted to throw in Boronia perdiana. If you're looking on the phone, you probably cannot see the deeply divided leaf, but that's one of the little delights of Boronia perdiana, subspecies perdiana, apart from the greenish yellow flowers. Chris, hello, Chris. Welcome this morning. Millions of hectares of Australian bushland to be protected under a $250 million federal budget commitment. I'll tell you what, Chris, I don't think I can save that. Let's see, can I? No, but I'm going to star that on the ABC. I'll check that out later on. These are the kind of issues I'll be talking about on Not Just Another Podcast. I'll probably some of those conversations I'll probably stream into the bird emergency as well, but only if they're really relevant. I'm going to look deep into a lot of these policy announcements and see what they actually mean. Chris, you're probably aware that I'm very, very cynical about commitments that the current government makes about the environment because they walk away from most of them. So, but I'm really interested to see what will happen. The coalition needs, I think, 14 or 15 seats to govern without the crossbench, and it's unlikely that they're going to get close to that many. So I think the crossbench is going to be where the action is in the upcoming election. So what those policies are and what leverage they will have will be interesting, and that's where this time we'll need to be really looking at the commitments that the Greens make and that the Teals make, bearing in mind that the voting records of some of the Teals is pretty dodgy. But anyway, that's a different matter. Chris, is it wet on your side of town today? We've had showers, but it's easing off here in Wurundjeri country, the western suburbs, or northwestern suburbs of Melbourne. Yeah. One of my favourites here, Boronia muelleri, a Victorian and New South Wales species, might even extend into Queensland. I'm not sure. It's more in Victoria. It's more of an upland kind of. Well, the only places I've seen it are sort of in the foothills. But when it's in flower, it's got masses of flower, but it doesn't flower for long. But it's an absolute ripper. A larger shrub than some of the other boronias you might be familiar with. I've stood against Boronia muelleris that are overhead height. So, but really, really like being pruned. So we'll get there. Pop that down. Okay, let's get on to the next one. Boronia Malloye. Now, I think Malloye is a Western Australian one. Quite insignificant little leaves on this. The deep, dark pink flowers are the highlight, but it's also that arching branch habit. So it's an arching, open, small shrub. This is the kind of plant that I would plant many of in a mixed bed, or I would use it mostly as a pot specimen, but worth considering. More of my cultivation tips for boronias. Okay, boronias have a very shallow root zone. According to the Australian National Botanic Gardens fact sheet on some of the boronias, typically the roots occupy the top 5 to 10%, 10 centimetres of soil. So we're talking that much, right? But I have seen some tips and fact sheets that say, in general, it's a lot less. The bulk of the root material is only just under the mulch layer, which indicates why they don't like to dry out, because there is virtually no moisture reserve once they've depleted what's in the mulch. And that's why an organic mulch can be beneficial, because organic mulch will hold water as well as stop evaporation. It'll actually hold some water, whereas gravel or stone don't hold water. They just stop the evaporation. Gravel and stone mulches are good, though, if you're in a humid area, because evaporation from organic mulches can increase humidity around the plant. So I hope that is a little bit clear. Now, this next tip, and I really did and ah about whether to include it, but I think on the basis of probabilities, just about all of the boronias that you're likely to find in cultivation do prefer a slightly acidic soil. But there are boronias that favour a neutral or slightly alkaline soil. What you're wanting to be aiming for is between 5.5 and 6.5 for most of the Boronia species that you will find in cultivation. Let's see what else we got. Look at this, Boronia crenulata, Shark Bay variety. Again, a dainty little plant. I've just put it in because it's got that, the flowers open sort of a mauve, a dark mauve, and then they fade off to be more a white, and you can see the veination that occurs as the flowers age. Just another example of the variety, and you can see that's a nice rounded elliptical leaf to give you another idea of the foliage forms that you can find with all of the boronias. Boronia gracilipes. I went through all of my horticultural training and working in nurseries calling it gracilipes. That was pretty much how I pronounced it all the time. A more open, straggly kind of shrub. Again, a really nice flower on this one. I would use this in like a rockery or on anywhere you have like a mounded area and you want a plant that will fill some vertical space but not go too high. Anyway, I'm being very, very general about my comments for boronias because they are very variable. They will also perform differently in like heavy soils, lighter soils, under different nutrient loads. I know lots of plants are a bit like that, but boronias are a very variable genus. Boronia scabra, another little cutie, another little heathland plant is where I would characterise this generally. Woodland or heathland plant. Again, see those little leaves? Look at those little leaves. Boronia cymosa. This is one of the West Australians. This is one that you will find often in cultivation. Smaller flower than many of the boronias, but the petals are a bit more open, so gives much more of a star, open star shape. Yeah. Okay. More of my tips. See how I've spread it out over the slideshow. As with many, I would say most Australian native plants, if you're going to use a fertiliser, apply a low phosphorus fertiliser. In most cases, prefer a slow release fertiliser, a native low phosphorus fertiliser. Most efficient way to apply the prills, the little balls, is to scrape away a bit of mulch, put the prills on top of the soil, put the mulch back, and then water in. Often you'll see boronias in pots that are yellowing off, and less often in in a garden setting, but sometimes. And how I have always dealt with that in a nursery setting is I have got out my Charlie Carp or my Sea Sol or even Aquasol and then applied it at half of the recommended rate. I never apply the recommended rate direct to foliage, and especially if it's going to be on native plants, if there's going to be windy conditions or quite sunny conditions. I think then it does more harm than good. That's why I've said apply early in morning or late afternoon. And slightly acidic soil, I think I had before, didn't I? Okay, Boronia ledifolia, another beauty. This is quite a large shrub, Boronia ledifolia. But see, look at the foliage variation there again. This is a really adaptable plant in cultivation. Regular light pruning will keep this in quite a bushy shape. You can clip this almost to a compact shape if you like. Otherwise, it will branch out quite large. But yeah, I recommend Boronia ledifolia. I mentioned this one before, Boronia cerulata. This is the Banksia rose or the rose Banksia. Grows in the Sydney region. It's a small, dainty, delicate shrub, but it's heavily perfumed. So it's nice. I'll tell you what it looks like. It reminds me of the zygo cactus. So I did try Boronia cerulata in a hanging basket, and it did okay. But it was in a position that, being in a hanging basket, it just got too much wind. But it went okay. I think if you had a shade house or something, or a really protected spot, they'd be worth trying in a hanging basket near a door or near a regularly open window. I think you'd get really good value from the fragrance of Boronia cerulata. Boronia megastigma, this is the one that everybody knows. This is the brown Boronia. This is the highly scented Boronia. This is a West Australian. This is a small to medium shrub. Generally quite compact in habit and adapts well to pruning. And it is, of course, has been selected and developed for the horticultural trade, for the flower trade, for perfumery. But this is one of the colour variants. This is basically a deep red. I think I've already said most of these. Let's say light, regular tip pruning can help keep the plant compact, but be mindful of the natural form of the species that you have. Yes, if you have a very spreading species, it's a bit of a mistake to try and turn it into a topiary or something. Just let them go. Although tip pruning is beneficial because you will keep the vigour of the plant up and will encourage more flowers in the next flowering period. Boronias are generally fast-growing plants, so are not generally long-lived. So I wonder if this is where some of the bad rap for Boronias comes about. In that, maybe getting 3 or 4 years out of a garden plant that may have been in a pot already for 18 months before it got to you, that's actually pretty good. But if you expected it to behave like a callistemon or a melaleuca or a wattle and to get 10, 15 years out of it, well, then you're going to be disappointed. But I myself know of some Boronia farms for cut flowers where the plants are up to 15 years old. And I think that has got something to do with the selection of the varieties, obviously, and the cultivation. If they're regularly pruned back heavily and they're in an ideal situation otherwise, maybe that vigour can be maintained by the vigorous pruning. Uh, not a lot of real reliable information out there for it, but I really like Boronias, so I'd always give them a go, and I'd never be disappointed if I got two really nice seasons out of Boronia flowers. Boronia megastigma. This is another one of the West Australian and quite scented varieties. You can't really see on this photo, but it's got that sort of wine red colouring on the outside of the petals, and on the inside it's yellow. So again, brown Boronia. Here we are. Look at that, Boronia megastigma. That's another look at the flower. Now this one you will have seen. I'm sure you'll be familiar with this one. I think this is the species that has broken many people's hearts. I know I certainly, when I was younger, I'd bought Boronias in pots from my grandma and mum for Mother's Day and great aunties and all that kind of stuff. But I never heard anyone a couple of years later say, "Gee, I'm so glad you gave me that Boronia. That was such a great plant." Yeah. Just a few more to have a squiz at, just to give you an idea. I mean, here's a nice blue. Well, it's really a mauve, but it appears quite blue. One I really like, Boronia ramosa. This is a little scrappy, herbaceous looking plant. Certain way you can kill your Boronia is expose it to strong winds, especially hot afternoon winds, because they dry out. Boronias are lightly frost tolerant, but remember they are naturally understory plants and appreciate some overhead protection. There's a lovely Boronia heterophylla. Blue waves, mauvey, purple. Flowers stay closed for quite a significant portion of time. But this variety gives you the appearance of a longer flowering period. So I would recommend it. Another Boronia malloy. I really like Boronia malloy. Some varieties have been selected for commercial cut flower industry, and these may be more able to tolerate more sun and more open conditions. Generally, Boronias can adapt to most temperate climate zones in Australia. I'm not really aware of any that do well in the subtropics, but I'm sure someone will contact me at some stage and go, "I'm in Brisbane and I've got a fantastic bunch of Boronias growing." Boronia fraseri. Now, I think this is an East Coast Boronia. Not 100% sure. Certainly, I've grown Boronia fraseri. This reminds me of Illyria, the native daisy bush. It sort of looks a bit similar, behaves a little bit similar. I had this growing in quite sandy soils in a protected spot. I have to say, fairly heavy shade. It's actually under a big Banksia serrata, and did really nice in the garden setting. Protected from wind, but trying to think. Mid-morning sun was when it got most of its sun. So, anyway, worth considering. I like Boronia fraseri. I've been looking at what Boronia seeds to get and to try and grow some. I think that's the end of my presentation. It is. So we're down to chit chat now. Do you want to tell me anything about your Boronia experiences? Because that's what we're here for today, talking Boronias. see any gardeners on Twitch today. You want to chime in? Facebook, Betty, are you here today, Betty? I'm still going to Facebook, as you can see. I'm trying my best to keep everyone in the loop. Does anyone have a horror story with boronias? I'll tell you what I always equated boronias to when I was a kid and then a young person interested in plants and gardening. I always thought boronias were like daphnes. Everyone has a story about daphnes. Good question, Stan. Would boronia grow under gum trees in compromised soil, heavily rooted soil conditions? Stan, you've used a word there that could mean many things. By compromised, do you mean that it's been dug up and adulterated? Has it been poisoned with something? Is it old road fill? Give us a bit more idea about compromised soil. But my first instances would be that if you can protect it from wind and you can put the plant in a situation where you can mulch it and water it regularly enough so that it doesn't dry out, but doesn't feel like it's overwatered. Boronias like what we call a cool root run. They like their root temperature to be fairly consistent over time, which is why so many boronias on the east coast grow in soils where there are lots of rocks and crevices for them to grow in, the ones in the Sydney region particularly, because those big rocks and boulders have a moderating effect on the temperature. Now, I have a massive, Stan says, I have a massive gum trees where nothing grows underneath. They suck up all the moisture and nothing grows except wattles and she oaks. Okay. I think some of the woodland boronias might be worth a try. What I would do, I would depends what you can find. You've got a Kangaroo Island. What was it, Edwardsi? You've got a local species. I'd try and get hold of a couple of those and try them out. I would put in the hole. I would put in the hole that you prepare for your boronias. I would put some of those water storing granules in there, and then I would mulch heavily with the eucalypt leaf mulch. Stan wants to plant an understory with screening plants along the fence. I would check out your local nurseries, Glenn, and see if anyone is selling boronias. If they are selling boronias, that would give me a good indication that they are worth a try. But I would be mindful of the conditions that you can provide for them. If they are well protected from hot, particularly afternoon sun, but hot sun, so you're looking at about 40% shade would be my rough guide. Some can handle more, but that would be my starting place. That you can adequately mulch that you can water in the hottest time of the year, and that the soil zone can stay at a fairly reasonably similar temperature year round. So things that can aid you with that is you can use logs, you can use large flat pavers, you can use a lot of things that will keep the moisture in the soil uh, once you have applied it in there. Um, Drip tube stuff like that is what I would always recommend if you're going to be watering. Um, and if it's going to be a mixed planting, I would use things like logs and um, rocks stuff, and give them a give them a go. You've got a local one. I would try it. I would try it. Um, the key things in your situation, Stan. And I'm not sure if wind is a major factor for you, because hot afternoon winds will just destroy boronias. They're not built to withstand that sort of evaporation that comes from hot winds going past. But the cool root run is the really crucial thing, apart from protection from hot sun uh, and wind. So, uh, and you can also, the other thing you can do is plant nurse crops or nurse plants around them. So I think you've got some correas there that would do well. Some of the smaller, uh, much smaller wattles I would try. Um, if if you're looking for a small eucalypt to put into a mixed planting, you've got um, those dwarf forms of Eucalyptus leucoxylon, um, and then uh, ground covers with that are pretty heavy ground covers. That's what I'm wanting to say. Like rampant ones like Grevillea perinda royal mantle, Grevillea gaudy chordy, uh, Myoporum parvifolium. All those kind of plants will lock the moisture in and uh, stop the sun really cooking that soil. So that would be the kind of things that I would think about doing. But if people are if the local nurseries are selling boronias, you can bet that people are locally having some success with them. But I would try and get hold of the local boronia species. Then Maloye, um, you'll find uh, a variety called Sunset Serenade, often in the stores. Ledifolia, as I said before, would be worth a try, and um, maybe try a megastigma or a heterophylla. Uh, and you're in a it can be fairly arid, but also can be really windy. So I'd just give it a go. But I wouldn't buy a big boronia to put in the garden. I'd buy a little boronia, like in a small pot, so that you're not investing huge amounts of money. But I'd try a few varieties if you can get your hands on them, and just be mindful of those things about the overhead shade. I would start at sort of 40% protection would be where I would start. Um, they don't grow in really dense shade. They like think of an open woodland. That's where most boronias will hang out. Glenn says, I managed to cook one, too much sun, needed a bit more shade for where I put it. This one was meant for morning sun, but it got sun till midday and it didn't appreciate it. I'll try again in a different, more shaded location next time. Um, that issue of drying out is the real killer, I think, and those winds that create the evaporation. And often it's a combination. If you've got it in a spot that is too hot and it's not adequately mulched, well then it's losing from the soil. Maybe the soil temperature it gets too warm, and it's getting evaporation from the leaves as well. So, says, I've been using those water-saving granules for other plants. They work great. Yeah, I'll go to the native plant nursery this autumn to get some local shrubby plants. Yeah. Stan Macrantha, Macrantha. Write that one down if you find a Macrantha. Eriostemon and Phebalium, Phebalium PH, Phebalium, Illyria, the native daisy bush. There's lots of these varieties that you can be looking for. These are ideal for a mixed planting in that kind of setting. Illyria is a really good one, and there will be a local Illyria. There will be indigenous Illyria on KL, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a couple of Illyria. Yeah, so, and of course, Correas can barely go wrong with a Correa. All right, any general questions, comments? What else have you been doing in the gardening, folks? I have to be honest, I have been spending so much time trying to get this bloody computer to work and to get the YouTube to trigger when I go live. So that was really good. Yeah. Stan, those water saving granules, I meant to add too. They are really, really good, but do not go too heavy on them. And they work better in the bottom and sort of in the lower portions of a hole than up near the top. Remember, they are plastic too. They are a type of plastic, but yeah, they do work really, really, really well. And yeah, just yeah. One of the things I was really happy when I was working at Yates that was one of the products that I was able to push. They were pretty new when I came out, when I was at Yates, and a lot of people were really sceptical of them, but I was able to use them at home in a pretty difficult situation, or down at the family place. And yeah, I still recommend them. But if you put too many of them in a hole, you can end up with a gluggy mess. So they do swell up to, like, I don't know, 30 times their size. So you don't need many. You need like half a teaspoon mixed in some soil in the bottom and the sides of a hole. You don't need much more for most Australian plants. And they do release the water to the plant quite easily. The plants will actually grow their roots into those granules to have access to them. Let me get some sustenance. So I'm quite happy that we got this going today. I had this horrible feeling that it was going to be the third week in a row where I'd be sitting here going, right, here we go, and nothing would work. Any other interesting things you would like to talk to me about? I've got the Discord open on this other screen here. There'll be a bit of Discord action going on. I'm trialing out how to do the trivia the bird nerd trivia, and we'll do plant nerd trivia. We'll do gardening trivia as well in the Discord. Seeing some awful things going on some of the other social media platforms, so I'm pretty unhappy with some of them. I don't know how long I want to be on them, but hey, it's election time, so that's what we'll all be talking about, won't we? For a few weeks, election. I've been back in touch with Neil Hamilton, so we'll be doing the Night Parrot episode of the Bird Emergency will be coming up. I don't know if it'll be this week coming. It may be the week after, and I'll be trying to speak to as many people as I can about environment policy running up to the election, and hopefully we'll get some gardening input too. I really want to do more gardening stuff. Now that I know that the platform is working again, I will be confident in using it. I didn't want to change the whole workflow again to be able to highlight everyone's comments, which I appreciate because they keep a show like this going. Also looking at implementing voice calls. A little bit more difficult to do, but looking at doing that too. We can do that on Discord, but it's a bit more difficult for people to do that on mobile. But there is, of course, a mobile app for Discord. Discord. That I'll blurt out some more. I mean, you can go to thebirdemergency.com/Discord and it'll take you to the Bird Emergency Discord. And we might, maybe we'll just do a couple of sessions that are Discord only to encourage people to come in and get used to there's text channels, so you can type, you can leave, so you can have text conversations, you can have voice conversations, video conversations, and it's open source, so it's not billionaire controlled, and it's not trying to harvest all your information and funnel you into some lunatic area. So anyway, that's what I want to spend some time developing. I've got to the stage with doing all this stuff for quite a number of years now that I need to keep it interesting for me, and you, Stan, if you go, I reckon, because I've made the invites permanent, try it out for me now. Go to thebirdemergency.com/Discord and tell me if it takes you to the Discord. And I will at the same time see if I see you coming in. Because I have created invitations for the Discord and I made them permanent. So just waiting for this computer to open up to where I want. Okay, I've got to log in again. Here we go. Oh, what's my... I'll verify with my... wait for my SMS from Discord. Okay. All right, I'm back in here. And I can see that you haven't managed to become a member yet, but that Naomi has. Let me see. Are we going to do an invite? There's an invite link, Stan. And anyone else who's watching and wants to jump in. So that one's a 7-day invite link. Since you're on there, just pop in. Stan, that's you. Hello, Stan. I can say, there we are. All right, so Stan's in. Naomi's in. Stan's got a much better, well, so has Naomi, much better profile pic than I have. I need to sort that out, don't I? So cool. Okay, so Stan, you can see there we've got the general channel, we've got a trivia channel, and that is what I'm going to be working on today. I don't want to do that. So I'll be starting to put out the information about what's going on that I want sort of members, the Right Squad, to know about more in Discord than on other things. There is it's just so difficult at the moment to get seen on some of the other places. So yeah. So anyway, plus we can all chin wag and everything. Oh, good! I've got 2 people in the trivia audience as well already, so that's good. And the good thing about what I like about Discord is that if you're joining other servers, they'll all show up on the side there. So when you're logged in, you're able to just jump around all sorts of different chats and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. So cool, Stan. You're in. So it's one of the tasks for the weekend is to work out times and formats for things like the trivia, and we might do open forum gardening Q&A on the Discord. That's where they might go live, and then we might paste them later into the other things here. Yeah, Stan is dead right. Discord is handy for getting a community together. What I wanted was somewhere where we could have conversations that were, not out there so much like on Facebook and everything, where all your info is getting scraped and stuff like that. And we're going to have a small community. Hopefully it would grow to be, several handfuls, several dozens maybe of people, but it's much easier to keep crap out of the servers, and there's a lot more flexibility about the kinds of things that you can do using Discord without needing to be involved on the other platforms. So, and it's just so hard to get visibility on some of the other platforms now without giving money to certain billionaires. It's so annoying. So, and I think with the elections in Canada and in Australia and with all the tariff stuff, there's just going to be no room in the next little while on a lot of the social media for nice stuff. I think there's just going to be lots of rubbish stuff. So yeah, so I've got the Not Just Another Podcast server is also on. Is it a separate one? Do I need a separate invite for that? No, it's all in the Bird Emergency, just different channels, I think. That's right. Oh no, I do have. I'll just pop this. No, there's no event. Stan, this is for you too. If you want to be in the Not Just Another Podcast server, there's that one as well. So there you go. Depending on what happens, I might collapse them into two. But I do want to keep the politics stuff in the Not Just Another Podcast thing as much as possible. Something happened. So I think that means, did that mean that Stan has just joined? Let's have a look. Haven't got an event yet. Anyway, something just happened because the Discord beeped at me. I don't think I haven't even set the rules up for that one yet, Stan. That's one of the things I've got to do today. My rules are pretty simple. Don't be a dick. And if I think you're a dick, then you get dicked. So, I think the beeping was from other channels that I'm in beeping. Anyway, that's it. So let's go back. Any more gardening questions anyone would like to pose, or any commentary about elections, or like your wishes for the election? What do you want to see come out of the Australian election or the Canadian election? Were you terribly disappointed by what went on in the UK this weekend, this last few days? That looked pretty crap. Looks like the Labor government in the UK is just Tory light. So centre-left people can never fail to disappoint, can they? Yes, it's all a bit disappointing. Okay, well, if there's no more gardening questions or comments, I'll be winding up our little chat. I hope you got something out of Stan. Yes, all right, here we go. We're into politics now. Dutton losing his seat might be nice, might donate to his opponents. Yeah, I think his seat is going to be very interesting. I was watching the ABC earlier on this morning before I came on to get ready for this, and they were wondering why Albanese was opening up his first day of campaigning in Brisbane. They thought that because all the important seats are in Victoria and parts of New South Wales. It's where all the action's going to be. They couldn't understand why he was opening up in Brisbane, and I thought, I can. He's going to make sure Dutton has to spend as much of the campaign in as possible in Brisbane, trying to hold on to his own seat. I would have thought that was very, very, very obvious what the game plan was there. Stan, since you've jumped into the Discord, if there's, we've got the, let's have a look on the bird emergency drop in there again. I haven't put an ideas thing in there, but I have got a bird watching highlights text channel in there, and there's an announcements and there's general. I might let's create another one now. Text channel. Maybe we'll make it a forum. No, we'll make it a text channel. Okay, there is now an ideas and suggestions channel in there too, text channel. So, hello, Glenn. Glenn's in too. That's what we like to see. So I can say hi. That's good. Yeah. So if there's things that you would like me to try and organise or make happen on a Discord, or people that you would like me to reach out to and try and get into sort of a more private discussions, that's what we will. That's what I'll try and do. So, last call for alcohol, as they say. Any further questions or comments for today for the habitat gardening that actually worked, which was amazing. If not, I'll head off and get working on when we get our first trivia event going, because that's the one thing I really want to do. I used to enjoy doing the trivia, which I don't think many of you. I used to get more randoms coming in from all over the world when I was doing trivias, because I was generally doing those at night. But ideas and suggestions channel in there too, in the bird emergency. Give us an idea of times that you would like things to happen. Thanks, Stan. Stan, when you've been down to the nursery and seeing if they've got any boronias, this is what you can use the jump into the Habitat Gardening channel on the Bird Emergency Discord and let us know what you found at your nursery. Glenn, thank you again. Look out for all that rain, so you can get off, get back out and walk around the garden. Take some more photos for Shroom Saturday. It is Mushroom Saturday. Yeah, I'd be really interested, Stan, on what your plant selection is like in your local nursery. What natives they've got, and what indigenous KI plants they've got. Look out for Illyria, Phibalium, sometimes Eriostemens are sometimes called that, and Macrantha. apart from correas and boronias. Um, wow, you haven't had any rain in 6 months. Wow. Well, there you go. You really do need those water-saving granules, don't you? Uh, that's uh, that's tough. That's tough for boronias. But if you're watering them, they should get through. All right, folks. Thank you once again. It's always great to catch up with bird nerds, plant nerds, gardeners, habitat gardeners on a Saturday morning. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. I'm also a plant nerd. I am a horticulturist. Thanks for being with us on Habitat Gardening. Hooroo!